Good evening and welcome to News Hour. Coming up in this edition, Police Monitoring Board settles its financial obligations to key international coffee and cocoa organizations. Defense for Children International Sierra Leone Intergenerational Dialogue reports over 60% children face injustice in Sierra Leone. And pupils across Sierra Leone write the mathematics paper as West African Senior School Certificate examination continues. All these stories and more lined up in this edition of News Hour. Stay with us for the next hour. My name is Daphne Zainab Kamara. First news out tonight. The executive chairman of the Produce Monitoring Board, Raymond Carter, has disclosed that the government, through the board, has successfully settled its financial obligations to the Inter-African Coffee Organization, International Cocoa Organization, and the International Coffee Organization. According to Mr. Carter, the settlement cleared accumulated arrears totaling close to 300,000 euros, restoring Sierra Leone's full membership standing within these key international commodity organizations. He made the disclosure during a news briefing held at the Produce Monitoring Board conference room in Freetown. Ibrahim Samora was in attendance and now reports.
This briefing was designed to update journalists on recent development in line with the Produce Monitoring Board call for 2026, a year of impact, high-tech institution, measurable result and action in adherence to the declaration of President Bio 2026 Year of Action. The executive chairman used the media engagement to catalogue a number of reforms and achievements since he took office following his appointment by President Bio. The executive chairman of the Produce Monitoring Board, Raymond Carter, said the move to settle the country's financial obligations to the Inter-African Coffee Organization, International Cocoa Organization, and the International Coffee Organization reaffirmed Sierra Leone's commitment to active engagement in global cocoa and coffee governance, international cooperation, and sustainable agricultural trade development, adding it would also strengthen the country's ability to participate in shaping international policy, standards, and initiatives affecting the future of the cocoa and coffee sectors. He told newsmen that the settlement comes at a pivotal for global produce trade as international markets increasingly require stronger compliance with sustainability, traceability, legality, environmental due diligence, and responsible sourcing standards.
We acted early. We mapped 173 farms. So 163 farms mapped is proof of our traceability systems working. Obligations settled. We have paid 299,000 euros. The government has paid almost 300,000 euros of international obligations.
He said full participation in these organizations will enhance Sierra Leone's access to technical expertise, market intelligence, policy dialogue, strategic partnership, and capacity building opportunities essential for competitive, investable, resilient, and sustainable produce sector. Mr. Carter underscored the importance of the reserved membership benefit, citing access to technical assistance, research collaboration, sustainability programs, market information, policy advisory support, investment promotion platforms, and participation in international forums on commodity trade, climate resilience, value addition, and market development. He commended President Biya for his continued commitment to agricultural transformation, economic diversification, and export development. Director of Operations Didan Sankor and Assistant Director Monitoring and Evaluation and Filler Operations Usman Alpha Kagbo, Produce Monitoring Board, described the settlement as a milestone achievement for the board, noting 95% of the country's cocoa beans enters the European market. They underscored the importance of partnership, noting that the board has expanded its partnership locally and international level, adding in 2026, staff of the institution benefited from capacity building training on price risk management from development partners. Ibrahim Samura.
Defense for Children International Sierra Leone convened an intergenerational dialogue on access to justice for children with specific spotlight on girls. According to the director of DCI, over 60% of children face injustice in Sierra Leone. Yusuf Mosire Suma filed in this report.
The dialogue, focused on a research conducted by Defense for Children International, is to improve in and assessing access to justice for children in conflict with the law in Sierra Leone. The dialogue brought together children and youth, legal officers from the Sierra Leone Police Family Support Units, child protection advocates, the media, influencers, and traditional leaders. A central part of the dialogue placed a spotlight on girls' experiences within the justice system and how children in conflict with the law often encounter additional challenges, including intimidation, stigmatization, limited access to gender-responsive support services, and gaps in data that reflect their specific needs. The discussions were also focused on barriers children and young people face when interacting or come in conflict with the law and justice system. Milicentia Boateng is a young researcher for Defense for Children who was part of the research team, said in the research, delay in the justice system for young people is one of the key findings.
Another thing that happened is some of the kinds of treatments that occur inside of these facilities with people who are justice actors, who are actually supposed to be protectors of the dignity and rights of these young people that come in contact with these systems. So all of these things are findings that we got from this research.
She further said, at the end of the research, they are hoping for an improved facilities and situations of young people who come in contact with the law. The research was done in western urban and rural districts, Kenema, Bo, Podium, amongst others. The Deputy Head Family Support Unit CID Headquarters, Betty Josephine Johnson Williams, said some of the children, especially the girls, who come in contact with the law are not accompanied when their cases are reported to the unit. She gave an assurance to Defense for Children and participants that the police will continue embarking on more regional awareness and sensitization.
We go to communities, we go to cities, and even we talk to our coordinators in the province to do sensitization for them to know what is happening with children, even in the schools. They go to communities, yes. And the children too, they come out, they talk, they tell us. We know their problems, we know their constraints. So from there, we know what to do when a complaint comes from a child that he or she has been abused or whatever. We know where to start and we know how to handle for them.
Abdul Manaf Kemokai is the executive director of DCI. He described injustice as violation. He said the injustice rate against children is over 60% and it is on the increase in the country.
Injustice rate against children is still over 60%, if I would say that, across all institutions, because the system has not been developed in such a way that you have effective monitoring system and accountability system in place to hold people who are not even applying the very laws that we have accountable. So people are more applying their individual understanding about justice or whatever they want to do in terms of who is influencing them and things like that.
Discussions concluded with calls for stronger collaboration between justice institutions, child protection actors, and community structures to prioritize prevention, rehabilitation, and reintegration. Also, centering both children's perspectives and the particular experiences of girls is key to building a justice system in Sierra Leone that is fair, inclusive, and responsive to the rights of all children. Yusuf Mosiri Suma, SLBC News, Freetown.
Pupils across Sierra Leone wrote the mathematics paper as the West African Senior School Certificate examination continues. Emmanuel Williams reports.
The West Africa Senior School Certificate Examination, conducted by West Africa Examinations Council, is a major academic assessment that determines the future of thousands of secondary school pupils across Sierra Leone. Mathematics, being a core subject, remains one of the most important and challenging papers for pupils. At the Huntingdon Secondary School and Community Education Centers, candidates were seen arriving early, going through final preparation before entering the examination hall. The atmosphere was calm but tense as candidates focused on their papers under strict supervision from invigilators and supervisors.
As a teacher, you need to know the rules and regulations, and you need to be a master of transparency and less corruption. So therefore, there is no malpractice based on my knowledge and what I've watched and understood about the center.
We are observing the rules and regulations given to us by Ministry and WAEC. So the center is that much cool. The only issue that we have is time management because the students, most of them, they still far.
Examination officials ensured that rules and regulations were strictly followed with proper checks conducted before and during the exam.
Now, no problem. As you can see, the candidates are taking their exam in a peaceful condition. No problem for now.
The WAS examination continued in the coming days with other core and elective subjects. For LCBC News, Emmanuel Williams reporting.
During the ongoing 2026 West African Senior School Certificate Examinations, candidates at the Genesis Senior Secondary School Examination Center in Regent Village, Western Rural District, sat to the General Mathematics paper under WAEC supervision. Our reporter, Christiana Kamara, has more.
The center registered over 300 candidates drawn from Solomon Ekuma Berewa Senior Secondary School, Mountain Rural Senior Secondary School, Great School of Science Senior Secondary School, and Genesis Senior Secondary School. The examination, written on the 2nd of June 2026, comprised both essay and objective components and was conducted in line with WAEC examination procedures. Invigilators were present throughout the exercise to ensure compliance with candidates completing the essay section before proceeding to the objective paper. A delay was recorded before candidates proceeded to the objective section due to a challenge in opening a sealed examination package supplied by WAEC. According to the center supervisor, Patrick Bremer, the correct opening code was not initially provided, affecting the timely continuation of the paper. He said that the matter was reported to WAEC authorities, after which instructions were issued for the package to be torn open to allow the examination to proceed. The delay lasted for over an hour before candidates continued with the objective paper. Mr. Bremer confirmed that the examination eventually resumed and was completed without further interruption under normal supervision arrangements. He also referenced the ongoing curriculum reforms introduced by the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for Senior Secondary School 1 to 3, noting that the revised curriculum focuses on competence-based learning and continuous assessments to improve academic outcomes.
I believe it affected them because like within last year, but before that, year before last, they told us we are going to continue the old curriculum. so that those in SS3 by then will have finished ended up with the old curriculum. So that those who came SS1 and 2 would have continued with the new curriculum. But as we went along, we said, well, we should go back to the old one. Even we set ourselves here in this school, we went back to the old curriculum. So I want to believe, and clarification was made by the ministry, which we were expecting that they would have done, So I really believe that that's affected the kids.
He further emphasized the importance of collaboration among teachers, parents, and school authorities, and highlighted the continued role of after-school lessons in strengthening performance in core subjects such as mathematics and English language. The 2026 West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination continues across Sierra Leone under WAEC supervision. SLBC News are in Freetown. Christiana Kamara reporting.
Questions are being raised over the legitimacy of recent leadership elections conducted by the National Elections Watch. By the Executive Director of the Network Movement for Democracy and Human Rights, Abdul Karim Habib. He has publicly challenged the outcome of the elections, citing what he describes as unconstitutional violations, electoral irregularities, and conflicts of interest. Speaking on television, Habib called for the immediate nullification of the elections and fresh polls. Esther Sako put this report together.
The National Elections Watch recently announced a new leadership team following its national meeting held on the 28th and 29th of April 2026, where Charles Kef Kobai was elected chairperson with 41 votes representing over 60% of valid votes cast. The coalition described the process as transparent, credible, and reflective of democratic principles, noting that 68 out of 74 delegates participated in the election. However, the outcome is now being challenged by the Executive Director of the Network Movement for Democracy and Human Rights, Abdul Karim Habib, alongside other aggrieved member organizations. On SLBC's Good Morning Sierra Leone program and other media houses, Habib questioned the credibility and legality of the electoral process, alleging that the elections was conducted under conflicting constitutional documents which had not been properly adopted by the coalition's highest decision-making body.
They actually came forward with a candidate from Secretariat. This same candidate was the one that conducted as a returning official for Northern Region, Northwest Region, and Western Region. Yeah. So for that reason alone, he's not qualified. We said that this because the candidate approached me for me to step aside because he's my brother, he's my friend, very close.
According to a formal legal letter sent to NEW by Teddy Kouma, an associate, on behalf of Habib and other complainants, concerns were also raised over what they described as an irregular voters register, alleging the inclusion of individuals who were not constitutionally entitled to vote. The complainants further alleged that some senior officials within the coalition openly campaigned for Charles Kef Kobai while serving in administrative roles, an action they say compromised the neutrality of the electoral process. Another key concern relates to the eligibility of Kef Kobai himself. The petition also alleges that non-elected former district officials participated in the voting process and that the sequence of elections was altered without proper authorization, allowing individuals without an electoral mandate to vote in the chairperson election. Based on these concerns, the complainants have demanded the immediate suspension and nullification of the elections. The group has given NEW 48 hours to respond to the demands.
Complete corruptive elections, so we don't recognize that person. That's why we refer. The baseline here is Mrs. Samba was supposed to conduct a clean elections and hand over to whoever should be.
As of now, NEW had not publicly responded to the allegations contained in the legal correspondence. The coalition had earlier maintained that the elections were conducted in a smooth, orderly and transparent manner. SLBC News, Esther Sako reporting.
21-year-old Abubakar Kale, a student, has been committed to the High Court by Magistrate Mustapha Brahmajar of Fademba Road Court Number 1 to answer to a charge of murder contrary to Section 1 of the Offences Against the Person Act 1861 as repealed and replaced by Section 1A of the Schedule of the Abolition of the Death Penalty Act 2021. Mohammed Kuruma tells us more.
According to the particulars of offense, the defendant on Monday, 6th April 2026 at Moiba, Kisi in the western area of Freetown, allegedly murdered one Mohamed Bangura. No plea was taken as the matter is before the court by way of committal proceedings. Leading evidence for the prosecution, Superintendent of Police Tomi Zaiza called prosecution witness number 1, DPC 18670 Mohamed Lamin Bangura, attached to the Regional Police Division at Ross Road Police Station. The witness told the court that he recognized both the defendant and the deceased. He called that on 8th April 2026, while on duty at Ross Road Police Station, he received a case and inquiry file transferred from the Moiba Police Post. The file contained a police medical request form, a Ministry of Health referral form. He further stated that on 9th April 2026, in the presence of Sergeant 8602 A.K. Kaifala, he obtained a voluntary caution statement from the accused in Creole, which was recorded in English. He said at the conclusion of the statement, it was read over and explained to the defendant, who admitted it to be true by affixing his right thumbprint. He added that the statement was witnessed by the investigator and signed by the witness as recorded. The statement was produced and tendered in court as part of the prosecution's evidence. The witness said that on the 8th April 2026, he wrote a request for a post-mortem examination on the remains of the deceased. The request was produced and tendered in court. He added that on the same date, together with Scenes of Crime Officer Inspector M.S. Kamara, he witnessed the post-mortem examination conducted by Dr. Simeon Uwisko-Oma. Following the examination, the doctor issued a cause of death certificate, which was also produced and tendered in court as evidence. DPC Bangura further testified that on the 27th April 2026, he compiled and forwarded a report on the alleged offense of murder to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for legal advice. On 5th May 2026, he received advice from the DPP directing that the defendant be charged with murder. Both documents were produced and tendered in court. He said that on the 11th May 2026, together with Sergeant Eke Kaifala, he formally charged the accused with murder using the same procedure adopted in obtaining the voluntary caution statement. The charge statement was witnessed, signed, and subsequently produced and tendered in court as part of the prosecution's evidence. The witness was cross-examined by defense counsel Muke Amara. At the close of the prosecution's case, CPS Tomi Zaiza informed the court that the prosecution had led sufficient evidence. Having carefully considered the evidence adduced before him, Magistrate Brahmajar ruled that the prosecution had established a prima facie case against the defendant and consequently committed Abubakar Kale to the High Court for trial on the charge of murder. For SLBC, Mohammed Kouma reporting.
The Electoral Commission for Sierra Leone, ECSL, has continued its stakeholder engagement tour with a visit to the Ministry of Social Welfare and the National Commission for Persons with Disability in Freetown. Howell Williams has the details.
I requested that my first formal engagement be with this commission because it signals a fundamental truth. No democracy is complete when any citizen is left behind.
The event was attended by the Minister of Social Welfare, Madam Melrose Carminti, ECSL Chairman and Chief Electoral Commissioner, Mr. Edmund Sylvester Alpha, commissioners, senior government officials, and members of the media. NCPD Chairman and Chief Commissioner, Mr. Brema Sharif, presented a position paper to the ECSL Chairman, highlighting key recommendations aimed at improving the participation of persons with disabilities in the electoral process. Mr. Sharif noted that in the 2015 population and housing census, Sierra Leone recorded over 93,000 persons with disabilities. He said that among them, many continue to face social and institutional barriers that limit their full participation in society.
Despite their substantial presence, persons with disabilities continue to face social, environmental, institutional, and attitudinal barriers that limit their participation in public life, including electoral processes. Promoting the full inclusion of persons with disabilities in governance and elections is both a human rights obligation and a democratic imperative. An accessible and disability inclusive electoral system is essential to ensuring equal participation, strengthening representation, and fulfilling Sierra Leone's commitments under national laws and the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
Responding, ECSL Chairman Mr. Edmund Sylvester Alpha reaffirmed the Commission's commitments to promoting inclusive elections. He assured the NCPD that ECSL will continue working to ensure persons with disabilities are actively involved in the country's democratic processes.
For too long, persons with disabilities have faced physical, attitudinal, and procedural barriers at polling stations. This meeting marks the end of business as usual and the beginning of the new era of deliberate, enforceable inclusion. Assistive tools and materials, they also came out in the position paper. The Commission within this electoral cycle will review concerns on improving the use of assistive tools and materials for the conduct of the 2028 elections. That is tactile ballot guide and possible introduction of Braille and other audio tactile interfaces.
The Minister of Social Welfare, Madam Melrose Carminti, noted that ECSL's visit was timely and thanked them for listening to the concerns of persons with disabilities. She described the engagement as an important step towards strengthening inclusion and equal participation. The visit ended with a tour of the NCPD headquarters at New Englandville, where ECSL officials were briefed on the Commission's work and ongoing efforts to support persons with disabilities across the country.
Following the recent collapse of a 5-story building on Kissy Road, members of the Sierra Leone Institute of Architects and the Sierra Leone Institution of Engineers visited the site alongside members of the media to assess the situation and engage the public on the causes of recurring structural failures. Esther Susanette Bassi reports.
The collapse of the 5-story building on Kissy Road once again raises serious concerns about construction practices and regulatory enforcement in Sierra Leone. During a joint visit to the scene, representatives of the Sierra Leone Institute of Architects and the Sierra Leone Institution of Engineers expressed deep concern over what they describe as avoidable disasters caused by poor construction standards and a lack of qualified professional supervision. According to the professionals, preliminary observations reveal serious structural deficiencies, including improperly spaced reinforcement stirrups and the use of unsuitable construction materials. They stress that many buildings across Freetown continue to be constructed without the involvement of registered architects and engineers, increasing the risk of catastrophic failure. Speaking to the media, leaders of both institutions note that the current legal framework governing construction remains outdated, with the Freetown Improvement Act of 1960 no longer capable of addressing modern urban development challenges.
Contractors should take liability for this sort of construction because this kind of construction is a quack kind of construction. It shows that the person does not really understand what he was doing.
We found what we call stirrups, those horizontal, that bind the main rods together. We saw spacing of as much as 415 mm to 600 mm here, which is about 3 to 4 times what it's supposed to be. On the average, it should be by 150 mm, the spacing. It's there for everyone.
The design needs to be done, by a certified engineer who will put his stamp on it. These are measures, and this is where I think the Minister of Land will come in, because before they issue building permits, they need to ensure that the drawings that are presented have been certified and stamped, by a professional and qualified.
The institutions disclose that a revised National Building Code has already been developed, with contributions from architects, engineers, government agencies, and development partners. They hope the proposed code, currently awaiting parliamentary approval, will strengthen construction standards and improve public safety nationwide. Meanwhile, residents and business owners affected by the collapse voice frustration over the recurring incidents. Some describe living in constant fear as unregulated construction continues. Affected shop owner also expressed concern about the economic losses they suffer as a result of the collapse.
Well, from then, we don't see any one of them show up.
Since the incident happened last week midnight to Tuesday morning, none of the owners of the collapsed building have come back. We have not received any calls from them, and we have not received any assistance.
So we just offload recent, so take some plasma, they on a smart TV, they will go put on your side where this building will take place, so everything cover.
The architects and engineers emphasize that ensuring building safety requires close collaboration among government institutions, professional bodies, developers, and contractors. As investigations continue, experts maintain that stronger enforcement of building regulations, coupled with mandatory professional supervision, remains critical to preventing future building collapses and protecting lives. For SLBC News, Esther Suzanette Bassi reporting.
In case you've just joined us, you're watching News Hour, coming to you live on SLBC Television in Freetown. We continue with more stories. Road experts are warning that overloaded commercial vehicles are causing extensive damage to the country's road network, increasing maintenance costs and posing serious safety risks to road users. These concerns were raised during the final stakeholder validation workshop on axle load regulations and vehicle load management strategy organized by the Sierra Leone Roads Authority, the Family Kingdom Resort in Aberdeen. Freetown, the aim was to address vehicle overloading and protect the country's road infrastructure. Esther Suzanette Bassi again. We apologize. We'll bring you that news report later on. The National Minerals Agency has received 31 motorbikes from the German Development Agency, GIZ, to improve monitoring and regulatory compliance in the country's mining sector. Emmanuel Williams reports.
Sierra Leone is endowed with mineral resources such as diamond, gold, and bauxite, making the mining sector a key contributor to the country's economy. However, effective monitoring and regulatory compliance, especially in remote mining communities, remain a challenge. To address this challenge, GIZ has been supporting the National Minerals Agency with mobility tools for field officers. In December last year, the GIZ donated 15 motorbikes to the agency, and now an additional 16 motorbikes have been handed over, bringing the total of 31 motorbikes. The motorbikes will enable field officers to easily access hard-to-reach communities, monitor mining activities, and ensure compliance with mining laws and environmental standards.
Of the Ministry of Mines and the National Minerals Agency, we want to thank GIZ for your continued support to improving mineral sector governance in this country. As you rightly mentioned, in December we were here again. We donated 15 motorbikes to support the work we do in our regional offices. And you did mention that based on our requests, you're going to do further support. We're here today to receive 16 bikes. As my colleague mentioned, Sati, these motorbikes will be used exclusively to improve mineral sector governance in our country. Will be used in the regional offices.
Officials say the support will also help reduce illegal mining, improve revenue collection, and promote responsible mineral resource management. The German Development Agency, GIZ, is a key partner to the National Mineral Agency in supporting governance, environmental protection, and sustainable development in Sierra Leone.
The bikes are purely for supporting or strengthening the compliance regime, the mineral sector compliance regime, especially for the artisanal and small-scale mining. We want to support the mine compliance officers at the NMA to better monitor environmental compliance, and efforts around reduction of mercury in gold extraction, efforts around precious metal smuggling, and related illicit financial flows. So that's why we are donating this bike to the National Minerals Agency. Last year,
the National Mineral Agency says it remains committed to ensuring transparency, accountability, and sustainability in Sierra Leone's mining industry. For LCBC News, Emmanuel Williams reporting.
First Bank Sierra Leone has expressed strong interest in supporting Sierra Leone's infrastructure development. The bank's Group Chief Executive Officer, Olusegun Alebiosu, made this commitment during a courtesy visit to President Julius Maada Bio at State House. He says the bank is ready to introduce innovative financing solutions to help drive investment and economic growth. Margaret Senge reports.
The discussion between President Julius Maada Bio and a high-power delegation from First Bank Sierra Leone at State House focused on investment opportunities in the country's infrastructure sector. Introducing the delegation, Minister of Finance Sheku Fantamadi Bangura described the team as experienced financial leaders with a strong presence across West Africa. He said government has been engaging the bank on ways to attract investments, create opportunities, and strengthen Sierra Leone's economy.
I see he's a very well-placed financial experts in the sub-region. Our discussions have been very productive on what they are doing in the country, what they hope to do in terms of pipeline. And I believe they are well-placed to support us in development aspirations, but also taking to innovative solutions in ways that they're asking us to take about.
Speaking on behalf of the delegation, Group Chief Executive Officer of First Bank Group, Olusegun Alebiosu, reaffirmed the bank's commitment in supporting Sierra Leone's development agenda. He said First Bank is ready to work with government and other partners to develop initiative financing models that can unlock investment and accelerate infrastructure development. According to him, Strategic investment in infrastructure can boost economic growth, create jobs, and improve the lives of citizens.
We're interested in supporting that road, power, electricity, if we need that to be, development of other infrastructure and mines that we might want to do. We'll see how we jointly accelerate development at this point.
President Bio welcomed the bank's interest and praised the private sector's role in national development. He reiterated his government's commitment to creating an environment that encourages investment and sustainable economic growth.
Lately, I've been talking to the minister and other ministers about innovative financing, especially working with the private sector. As you know, the window for ODA is almost closed. We are all having to cater for ourselves around the world, and the human being is most ingenious when we are challenged. And as operators in this economy, it would be nice for us to look at ways, not killing the banks, but also creating other avenues for us to have the means to be able to develop, especially the infrastructure, the innovative finance that you are talking about.
The president stressed that infrastructure remains at the heart of his government's development agenda. He said roads, energy, transport, and other crucial infrastructure projects are essential for transforming the economy and improving service delivery. President Bio added that Sierra Leone looks forward to building strong partnership that will deliver tangible results for the people.
We have been thinking quite a lot along that line, but it's always extremely difficult. But if we sit down and have a conversation, we can, of course, allay your fears, but identify established cash flow from certain institutions so that you know that, okay, you are making a sacrifice now, but at the end of the day, you will have returns as a bank. But that allows us not to be stuck in the past, but to move on with the development programs. And of course, we have also come to realize that infrastructure has a multiplier effect. It is the basic for development. I mean, infrastructure, meaning everything from electricity, water supply, and roads and bridges. We are in the middle of those things, but we need to do them consistently for a very long time before we start to see the benefit.
Founded in 1894, First Bank is Nigeria's oldest financial institution and one of leading banking groups in West Africa. The bank says it is optimistic that the partnership with Sierra Leone will help introduce new financing opportunities to support the country's infrastructural drive. For SLBC News, Margaret Senger reporting.
Well, from news around the presidency, we go over to a segment and we bring you the international news update.
Hello and welcome to the international news with me, Esther Suzanette Bassi. The U.S. military has said it launched self-defense strikes on Iran overnight and shot down ballistic missiles and drones fired at ships and Gulf countries. The strikes on Qasem Island in the Strait of Hormuz were in response to attempted attacks by Iran across the Middle East, U.S. Central Command said. Iran said it had attacked U.S. bases and helicopters in a regional country using missiles and drones in retaliation. U.S. Central Command had earlier said it had struck and disabled an unladen oil tanker that was sailing towards Iran as part of the U.S. naval blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, which began on 13 April. Iran's Islamic Revolution Guard Corps said disrupting the security of the Strait of Hormuz will carry a heavy price for the aggressive U.S. military. Ukraine has carried out a strike on the outskirts of Russia's St. Petersburg as for the opening of a major economic forum designed to attract foreign investment into the country. Local authorities said air defenses shot down 59 drones overnight and that 3 different districts of St. Petersburg had been hit, although no one was killed. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry said Moscow would respond to the strikes. The St. Petersburg Economic Forum, once dubbed the Russian Davos is a flagship event on the Russian political agenda. Until Moscow launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, it used to be attended by high-profile Western delegations, including CEOs and heads of state. This year, for the first time in nearly a decade, a low-key U.S. delegation is also due to participate in the forum. At least 21 people have been killed and many others injured after a fire tore through a multi-story building in South Delhi, police in India's capital city. Many of the victims were foreigners, including people from South Asian and African countries who had traveled to India for medical treatment to accompany relatives undergoing care. The blaze is one of the deadliest in recent years in the Indian capital. Delhi ministers said authorities were investigating whether the building had the necessary permissions to operate as a bed and breakfast facility, adding that those found responsible for any violations would face criminal action. A shopkeeper who runs a quilt store opposite the building said he spread quilts on the ground below to cushion people attempting to jump to safety. At least 2 people died after anti-immigrant protests in South Africa's Western Cape this weekend turned violent. Foreign nationals in the country are seeking shelter in community centers, while others are leaving the country. Foreign nationals along the coast of South Africa's Western Cape are also fleeing their homes after a weekend of anti-immigrant violence, after one citizen-led organization demanded that undocumented foreign nationals exit South Africa by June 30. There have been reports of vigilant groups checking the documentation of foreign nationals and forcing small businesses run by non-South Africans to close. Well, that's it for the international news updates from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation Television. I am Esther Susanette Bassi. Thanks for watching. Continue to stay glued.
Up next is the entertainment update.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment News with Mr. Ahmad Baba Toure. In this edition of Entertainment News, Idris Elba receives knighthood from King Charles III, and Aminish releases the video of song titled Pills featuring one of Sierra's youngest singers, Kari. Now, one of Sierra Leone's pride, actor Idris Elba, who is a British icon and globally celebrated star, has officially become Sir Idris Elba after receiving his knighthood from King Charles III at Windsor Castle. The well-deserved honor was awarded for his outstanding services to young people and his long-time advocacy against knife crime through his Elba Hope Foundation, which celebrates the Elba's massive cultural impact well beyond the screen. As part of his dreams to make the world a better place, not only as an actor entertaining people, but also changing lives. We say congratulations to Sir Idris Elba. We love you, of course, Sierra Leone. We are proud of you. We congratulate you. Say congratulations, Idris Elba. And finally, on this edition of Entertainment News, Sierra Leonean music star, Afrobeat superstar Aminish, Aminata Sharif, popularly known as Aminish, released her EP weeks ago, and the songs are going viral on social media and people are vibing to the songs. And just recently she released the video of one of the songs on the EP, Pills, featuring an upcoming rising star, Kari. The song is nice, dope. It talks about emotion, what you do when you are sad or emotionally down. The song is nice, it's on social media. Let's get a taste of the song.
Everybody's got a broken heart, hiding my fears behind a smile. People will love you when you get more to give, holding my family, no hope to keep. Serenity lies deep within, I can't feel my mind, blowing trees, smoke cannabis, hiding from my smile. So many things I don't wanna be, holding my tears down.
massive and a good convo. This is a nice collaboration. Two classic singers, Aminish and Kali. Well, we say kudos to Aminish, more hits, more flies, more Well, that's all we have for this edition of Entertainment News. I've been your presenter, Sulaiman Babature. Thanks for watching and keep watching the SLBC. Bye-bye.
And now to our final segment, the sports update.
It's the sporting updates that keeps you in the know, and thank you so much for joining us. And in today's edition, we begin with volleyball. Now, the Western Area Volleyball Championship will be another eye-catching event for players within the region. Well, according to the organizers, they're hoping to stage a competition that will capture the hearts and minds of volleyball lovers in Sierra Leone. And Sumana Bangwa is the head coach of Fortunes Volleyball Club, the team with a back-to-back triumph. He explained more to SLBC.
They just told the line, as you rightly mentioned, the likes of the Patrick Lumbi, the Abubakar, the Ishmael Bangura. Yeah. You know, volleyball, we've always been producing quality players that represent Sierra Leone in and out of Sierra Leone, and we're bringing Lawrence. Imagine, like last year, you know, you can't imagine what volleyball, how many championships we participate internationally, and we participate in 3 different international championships. We won 2 gold, and the other one we come with silver. So could you just imagine if volleyball is getting all the support in the world that we need, or maybe just half of it? You know, could you imagine what we could do representing Sierra Leone out of Sierra Leone? So it's an amazing thing. So those boys like Suleiman Bangura, you're mentioning, like, took that boy from nothing, from zero, bringing up from Fortunes Volleyball Club. And Fortunes also has been that name now that is bringing up the players. So it always the face. There has been the time it was the Youngster Volleyball Club. Exactly. They've been bringing these players, Super 6, they bring up these players. But now it's a Fortunes. It tells the dedication I'm putting in to, you know, develop young boys, because it takes extreme dedications and passion to be able to keep this going, because I mean, arguably, we all know the realistic things early, and we don't have that many, you know, to be able to manage things going, pay coaches and other things. So it takes selfless effort, you know, to always, you know, get your time, prepare, you know, workout, training, and go to the courts there to train the boys all the time, mentor them, you know. So it takes extra dedication to do that. And the thing that have been giving me this motivation, so I can sit back and see what my boys are doing internationally, representing Sierra Leone and bringing those goals. And then you sit back and say, you know, what you're doing is not going in vain. You're building up people that are representing your nation, and how much could you be proud for something like that? You know, that way we can build and contribute. And imagine when we have, like, there's all the, you know, drugs affecting society, and then you have a community now, you have a lot of young boys, they're almost tempted to go into drugs, you know, because of lack of support and other things. But you have volleyball there and all the sport and discipline that are keeping these boys away from these things, because we're mentoring them. For me, especially my team, you know, nobody can smoke, neither drink. You monitor all of them, so you're contributing to their lives and to the nation. So I think this is keeping us going.
Now, in another development, the head coach of the senior national men's team, I mean the caretaker coach John Kista, has commenced training with a couple of home-based and foreign-based players at the SLFA Secretariat. Leon Stars caretaker gaffer John Kista has commenced training with home and foreign-based players ahead of the double-header international friendlies against Liberia. The match is scheduled for 6th June 2026 at the Southern Arena in Bo, while the reverse fixture will be played on the 9th of June 2026 at the SKD Stadium in Liberia. Although classified as friendly encounter, the match carries significant importance as FIFA recognizes fixtures that will impact the world rankings of both nations. They will also serve as key preparations for the Total Energies 2027 Pamoja AFCON qualifiers. Some foreign-based players are said to have been arrived in camp, while expecting others to join for full-time training as momentum builds ahead of the upcoming FIFA-sanctioned international showdown against the Lone Stars of Liberia. Sierra Leonean football fans are open to see the very best from the Stars of Sierra Leone. Ends your update, and thank you so much for watching. See you next time.
And now to end the news, the main points again. The executive chairman of the Produce Monitoring Board, Raymond Carter, has disclosed that the government, through the board, has successfully settled its financial obligations to the Inter-African Coffee Organization, International Cocoa Organization, and the International Coffee Organization. Defense for Children International Sierra Leone has convened an intergenerational dialogue on access to justice for children with specific spotlight on girls. According to the director of DCI, over 60% of children face injustice in Sierra Leone. And pupils across Sierra Leone wrote the mathematics paper as the West African Senior School Certificate examination continues. Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of News Hour from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. I've been your news anchor, Daphne Zainab Kamara. Thanks for joining us. Keep watching the SABC. Good night.